2024 is probably the best year of my career so far. I filmed 31 racing events in 11 countries, took 91 flights, spent over 200 days on the road, and shot over 40 terabytes of race cars going around in circles. But some races were of course better than others, and this video is all about my top 10 races of 2024. So let's get to it. So we're kicking off the top 10 with a US endurance racing classic, the 12 Hours of Sebring. Sebring is always one of the toughest events of the year. The Thursday practice day is quite literally the single longest working day of the year. But this year I had some help from Jared and Brent, which led to a lot less stress and a lot higher output. You're gonna find as we go along that any race where I'm among friends or have a team with me is gonna get ranked a lot higher. The race itself was solid, we had excellent weather, and we had a 5-star golden hour, which as a videographer is huge. Sebring is also just one of my favorite tracks to shoot due to its overall character and great sightlines. It also has some of the most passionate fans in motorsport, and they always give you exactly what you need when you point a camera at them. The race week was an absolute grind, but Brent and Jared and I had an amazing week. We put out a lot of great projects that I was really proud of, and that's why Sebring is P10 on our list. At P9, we have our first 24-hour race, the Rolex 24 at Daytona. This event kicked off by 2024, and as per usual, it was amazing. The Rolex 24 is truly one of the world's best motorsport events to attend, and it's also one of the cheapest at just $155 for a 4-day ticket with paddock access. If there's any F1 fans watching, I'm sure they just fainted when they heard that ticket price. If you do ever get the chance to go to the Rolex 24, do it. You will not be disappointed. I had Christina Manfredi working with me during the race, and we absolutely crushed. We churned out great content for all of our clients and had a great time grinding through 24 straight hours of work. Not all of our clients found success, and there were some heartbreaking moments, but the Rolex is a perennial top 10 event for me. Daytona is such a fun track to shoot, and it's honestly the easiest of all the 24-hour races to work because of the small track size and the very favorable start time of 1:40 p.m. But what made it even better was just the great crew of guys that we had staying together. I was rooming with Jamey Price, JP, Drew Gibson, and Fred Hardy, and it was just fun to hang out and just chill together and unwind and chit chat every night. Like when you have a good group of guys together and a good group of friends, it's just makes it that much easier. And we even went to Gatorland together with Camden Thrasher on our day off. So for all those reasons and more, the Rolex 24 is P9. In P8, we have another American race and quite arguably the best motorsport event in the country, the Long Beach GP. I always have this one circled on my calendar. Long Beach is one of the world's premier street circuits. It's short, it's fast, it's narrow, it's everything that you want in a street circuit. This year, I was with a great group of guys once again. Jamie, Fred, and JP came along, and they really helped make it a great experience, even though I was technically working this one solo. Long Beach provides awesome angles to film and allows for some truly unique shots. You can use the imagery like road signs and fountains to set the scene, and there's just something about standing in a parking garage filming race cars that it feels special. I was only covering IMSA, but I still went trackside for the Formula Drift demonstration and for some of the super trucks because I just love Long Beach that much. It is truly a special event that encompasses everything that's great about American motorsport. I always say that if you aren't from the US but you want to visit for a motorsport event, consider going to the Long Beach GP. You get IMSA, Indy cars, super trucks, a Formula Drift demonstration. Plus, you're in sunny Southern California and you're not far from Hollywood and Disneyland. It's a great vacation destination, and it could be a once-in-a-lifetime trip for a lot of people. In P7, we have everyone's favorite trip of the year. It's the World Endurance Championships 6 Hours of Fuji in Japan. Japan is my favorite country. I love visiting Japan. I hope that everyone gets the opportunity to visit Japan at some point in their lives. It's just such an incredible experience and just a beautiful country to explore. The race itself is essentially just a run-of-the-mill 6-hour WEC race, and I find that Fuji isn't really anything special to shoot, but the charm of being in Japan and how streamlined everything is and how great the fans are, it means that you just always have a smile on your face throughout the week. On top of doing my normal duty shooting the race, I was able to take part in Kamui Kobayashi's birthday celebration, which was special because he's become a good friend of mine over the past few years. And I also took some time away from the track to film B-roll in Tokyo and some areas around Mount Fuji, which really helped take my video content to the next level. But basically, Fuji's in the top 10 because I am biased and I just really like visiting Japan. So yeah. Back to another IMSA race. In sixth spot, we have the Michelin GT Challenge at Virginia International Raceway. Now, this is a unique race because it's one of the IMSA races that doesn't have any prototypes. It's just GT cars, and it's also at one of America's best circuits, VIR. It's a classic old school racetrack, very little runoff, grass on both sides, and it punishes mistakes in the old school way. On top of that IMSA weekend, we also had HSR Classic NASCAR, which was incredible. There were a bunch of old and new spec NASCARs running around in some different showcase races, and waking up to the sound of those NASCAR engines warming up was incredible. And the king, Richard Petty himself, was at the event, so that made it even more special. VIR is one of my favorite races to shoot, and not having the prototypes actually made for an easier weekend, and thus a much more enjoyable weekend overall. The staff there also take great care of us, and it's just a really nice facility to hang out at. BMW ended up taking the win in GTD Pro, and I got to capture it all, so overall, solid weekend that slots this race into P6 on the list. We're into the top 5 now, and in the P5 slot, we have the Indianapolis 8-hour. This is one of the lesser known races of the year, but in 2024, it was the finale race for the Intercontinental GT Challenge. Now, if you see my TikTok account, you know that I ranked the Indy road course in my top 5 least favorite tracks to shoot. And it is. It's not the most interesting track to shoot, but this was my 4th consecutive year covering this event, and it's just kind of endeared itself to me. As much as this is an international race event, it's actually very low key and super laid back, which is quite refreshing when you're used to doing much more stressful race weekends. I had Brent with me this year, and we actually traveled down a few days early to cover a Red Bull Chloe Chambers F1 Academy announcement. We actually collaborated with Greg's Video Garage on that. You should check out his YouTube channel if you haven't, by the way. He's got some amazing tutorial stuff and some vlogs, and he's just an all-around good guy. So check out his YouTube channel. Brent and I actually stayed in a house right next to the speedway. Like, you could see the grandstands from the house, and we just had an awesome week hanging out together. We got to do some extra lifestyle shoots with the Johor Racing drivers, which was great for our creativity, and we got to cover BMW taking the overall win thanks to an incredible fuel-saving drive by Dries Vanthoor at the end. We also got some amazing golden hour shooting in both practice and in the race. Those Midwest sunsets in the autumn time are just incredible. So the Indy 8-hour is P5. I wouldn't be a very good Canadian if I didn't include my home race on this list, so the IMSA race at CTMP slots into P4. So as much as I am Canadian, and I live in Canada, I actually don't shoot a lot of motorsport in Canada, and it's simply because we don't have a lot of pro racing events outside of, F1 in Montreal or the Toronto Indy or the IMSA race at CTMP. And personally, I think the IMSA race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is Canada's best motorsport event. The circuit is one of the best in the world to shoot, and it combines modern safety features with an old school layout to really create the perfect circuit. I've heard a lot of the European drivers say that they absolutely love CTMP, and it reminds them of like a mini Spa or a mini Nürburgring. It's super high speed, has a lot of great vantage points, and you can get super close to the cars, and I always rank that really highly. This year, Fred made the trip up, and I got to show him around Canada, including taking him on his first visit to Tim Hortons. Sidebar, Tim's is mid. I don't know why it's such a big part of our culture. It's just like really okay coffee, and they're in an identity crisis where they don't know what they are. They're a coffee shop, but they're also selling pizzas. It's mid. I don't really go to Tim's anymore. Anyway, Brent also came along, and we had an amazing time. We had such a blast shooting for BMW and for Ford on our home soil, which was really fantastic. So I'm proudly Canadian and totally biased. So CTMP, IMSA race, P4. P3 is controversial because I've gone with the Lama 24. Sportscar 365 recently named it the best race of 2024. So why is it controversial that I have it in P3? Well, in the motorsport videography and photography community, it's widely accepted that Le Mans is the worst race of the year. Now, before you lose it in the comments, that's from a working perspective. There's a lot of extra faff with Le Mans. There's extra events that need coverage, like the driver parade and scrutineering. Every team wants a big team photo done. You have to sort scooter rentals because the track is massive. You have to sort catering. There's all these extra things that you have to worry about, and a lot of extra annoyances and extra money that you have to spend to work this event properly. But I have it in my top 3 because even through all of that, I had an incredible time at Le Mans this year. Most of that is because I had Brent with me, and we were essentially just shooting for one car. The 2 guys working on one car, it was amazing. Stress was low and we were producing at a high level. We also went into it with the right mindset. We agreed that we just weren't gonna get frustrated and that we were just gonna navigate on vibes, roll with the punches, all those other chill buzzwords. We were just gonna roll with it. My first time at Le Mans in 2023 was frankly horrible. I had too many clients. I didn't get to enjoy it at all. It never felt special to me. 2024 was the exact opposite. I had several moments where I kind of stopped and said to myself, wow, like this is incredible. There were moments that sucked, like driving my scooter in the pouring rain at 3 a.m., but most of it was truly an amazing time. Le Mans is one of the hardest races in the world to work, but it can be one of the most rewarding experiences. For P2, we're off to merry old England and one of the best circuits that I've ever been to. It's GT World Challenge at Brands Hatch. What made this race truly great was just the circuit itself. Brands Hatch is kind of like a museum. It's a proper old school circuit that has been perfectly preserved. It's high speed, high commitment, and when you make a mistake, you pay dearly for it. It is such a cool place to film. There are so many amazing angles, and I honestly wish that we'd had more time trackside so I could have seen more of the circuit. The biggest highlight of shooting was honestly crossing the track out on the GP circuit during qualifying and getting these awesome shots of cars hitting this bollard as they cut the corner as close as they should. Everyone at the circuit was incredibly kind and welcoming. I met so many people that follow me on social media, so we had such a great community of motorsport fans there. And even though we were in England, we had amazing weather, so the vibes were just immaculate. There's not really much else I can say. It was just a fantastic event at a really cool racetrack with awesome people. So Brands Hatch, P2. If you've been following me for any length of time, you knew this was coming. You knew that P1 was going to be the Bathurst 12-hour. I love Australia, I love Australians, I love Australian motorsport culture. The Bathurst 12-hour is the perfect motorsport event. Mount Panorama is in a league of its own. It's a racetrack that is essentially trying to kill you the entire race, and yet they still bomb around there for 12 hours. It's incredible. It's also mostly made up of public roads. We did a track walk on the Wednesday, and like people had their bins out at the end of their driveway, and you're like, oh yeah, people live here. They even have sessions during the race weekend where the track's closed, so people that live on the mountain can access their homes. Everyone at the circuit was, of course, super warm and welcoming, and once they found out that I was a foreigner and that I'd never been there before, everyone was offering to take me to different spots on track and show me around. Just some of the nicest, some of the most polite and welcoming people I've ever been around. My good mate Skippy, Andrew Hall, he kind of mentored me the whole week and showed me around the circuit, and it was just really great hanging out with him. He's one of the nicest people in the world. My first time trackside, we crossed the track to shoot Brock's Skyline, and that is now a core memory for me. It was just such an incredible experience to be standing there, to get one of the most iconic shots in motor racing, and just stand in such an incredible spot, one of the greatest spots in all of motorsport. What truly makes the Bathurst 12-hour a unique race is that it starts at 5:45 a.m. We start in the dark and get a beautiful sunrise over the top of the mountain. This year, the sunrise was 54 out of 10. We had rain, we had mixed conditions, we saw kangaroos. Bathurst delivered in every way possible. It was overall just one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. It's the best race I've ever worked, so naturally, P1, the Bathurst 12-hour. So those are my favorite races of 2024. Be sure to let me know in the comments what your favorite races of the year were. It can be a race you went to or even just a race that you watched on TV. 2025 kicks off in just a few weeks with the Rolex 24, but I actually have one event that I'll be doing before that, which I'll be doing a full vlog of. So stay tuned to the channel and hit the notification bell so you do not miss when that gets uploaded. I've also launched a second channel that I'll be updating frequently throughout 2025. It's called Merben Video Shorts. It's mostly going to be YouTube shorts and then just some really much shorter 16:9 videos. A lot of the raw POV stuff of like funny moments and things, and just some stuff that like doesn't make it into the vlogs that you see on the main channel. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you subscribe to that channel as well. I'll leave off by saying thanks so much for supporting the channel and helping it grow, sharing it with your friends, leaving likes and comments. It's all super helpful. We've ended off the year with over 3,600 subscribers, and I'm hoping that we can be over 10K by the end of 2025. So thanks so much once again, and hopefully I'll see you at a racetrack in 2025.